Hello guys, and welcome back to Dragon Exotics. Now today, I have a series for you. This series will cover my experience with incubating and raising chickens and ducks. So hopefully you will follow me along this journey, and we're a few weeks in, so I'm doing this video so I can kind of recap everything. But this section is just going to include the incubating and hatching and setting up the brooder. And then we're going to talk about in our next part a few things that happened. So you'll have to stay tuned for that. But for today, let's get started. I do want to review how I got the eggs, the incubators I used, how they worked, and then my brooder setup. So let's get started. So 1, the eggs. You're wondering, how do you get eggs if you didn't have chickens to produce them yourselves? Well, the answer to that is actually quite simple. It's called online. eBay. Now you can't just buy eggs from anyone you want on eBay or even anything on eBay. You want to make sure that you check the reviews. For the eggs that I bought some hybrid duck eggs. I also had bought some pekin eggs. And I bought some silky eggs. Silkies are a bantam chicken breed. They are smaller than other chickens. They are a chicken breed with black skin, blue ears, which makes them pretty unique. And they're super, super fluffy. They're great. I love them so much. So I had ordered those from eBay. The people I had ordered them from had great reviews. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Fast shipping, the eggs arrived perfectly. Now, I was having trouble finding barred rock fertile eggs on eBay. So I had ordered them from Tractor Supply because, you know, should be a legit company. I mean, I've been to Tractor Supply, I don't mind them. But when I had ordered 12 fertile eggs from them, the eggs seemed to develop the first week of life and then they stopped, all of them. I had a 0% hatch rate on those. I don't know what happened, but something obviously did. When I go into these incubator sections in a moment, I will describe temperatures, humidity, and my hatch rate for those in particular. But as far as where I got the eggs, you can get them from neighbors. Just make sure they're fertile and make sure that they are stored pointy side down and big side up. That is so that the eggs can stabilize and so that the air sac can go and settle to the correct position so that the chick can hatch properly. You do want to make sure that no matter where you get your eggs, that they aren't sitting for longer than 7 days before you put them in the incubator. You do want to let them sit for 24 hours, at least 12 to 24 hours before putting them in so that they can kind of regulate to the temperature so it's not as much of a shock and kind of settle down after that process of shipping or wherever you got them. You can get fertile eggs from your neighbors if they're nice enough to give them to you. Just make sure they're stored pointy side down and you're good to go. So let's move on to my reviews on the incubators. Let's go. All right, this right here is the Little Giant incubator made in the USA. And as you can see, I do have some barred rock eggs still in here because, as I said before, I got a 0% hatch rate of the Tractor Supply ones. And so I had bought two female chicks from Cal Ranch, but I decided I wanted one more. So I decided to hatch these. So we'll see what we get for those. But this incubator is actually my favorite so far, especially for chickens, because it's pretty simple. It is like $50. I did not buy an egg turner, so I do manually turn these eggs every day. And you can lift up the incubator for a second, it'll be fine. I just rotate them like this. I marked an X on one side and a circle on the other so that I don't mix it up, but I had already turned them not too long ago. I have a secondary thermometer that sits on top because I don't trust the thermometer of the equipment, and I have another behind it. So right now I actually do somewhat of a dry hatch to begin for chickens because it has proven to have some benefit, and for some people it works really well. So that's what I've been doing. So I'll keep it at anywhere from like 20 to 30% humidity for the first 18 days. And then I'll boost that humidity to like 60 something percent for hatch, because you want to make sure that the eggshell is soft enough for the chicks to break through. Now, if you see on here, it does have a little gauge. It isn't that accurate. Sometimes it'll be really high, sometimes it'll be really low for the temperature, and the humidity is never accurate on this thing. So as long as you have like your own little secondary thermometers, you're okay. They come with these plugs. These are actually important, don't throw them away. During the initial incubation process, the first 18 days, you want to make sure that you're keeping your temperature from 99.5 to 100.5. That is ideal. Anything lower than 98.5 can cause developmental issues and even the death of the chick. So you want to make sure you don't run into that. Developmental issues can include splay leg and many others. So keep that into account. If the temperature is too high, so above 102, it can kill the chick. You don't want to have them above or below the best temperature for over probably an hour, because the longer that you have them at that temperature, the higher the chances that they will die. So keep that in mind. It's very important. This is my little thermometer right here that double checks the temperature. It's at 99.7, which is great. But this, it really is a good incubator, especially for dry incubation. Once you get to day 18, you want to make sure that you plug up this hole. This hole must remain open for, sorry, I said that wrong. The first 18 days, you want to make sure this hole is open and this one is closed. This hole will help. This being closed helps keep the humidity in if you need it. This being open helps there be ventilation and air, because this is a still air incubator. So once you get to the point where you're after day 18, you're going to take this out, because as the chicks hatch, they need more air. So they need oxygen to live. But overall, this was a good incubator. I had 5 silky eggs in here. Initially, I had gotten 6. One of them was infertile, and the 5 that were there survived all up until day 17. Day 17, we lost 1 of them, and then 4 of them hatched. So 4 out of 5 hatch rate, that's 80%. When you get shipped eggs, you're lucky if you get 50% hatch rate. So that was great. That was amazing. And I was happy about it. So the Little Giant incubator, I'd say yes, get it for chicks. It works well. Just make sure you have other thermometers to maintain it. On to the next incubator. All right, now this incubator is quite different. I had gotten it from Amazon, and I expected it to be a bit less work. It came with an egg turner, which I actually have right here. So it came with an egg turner that you put in. It's not that hard to put in. Some of the videos are a bit different if you look at it online. They haven't made it as complicated, so you don't really have to slip much in. It just snaps in. And this incubator you have to kind of learn it, because it can be annoying if you don't do it right. This is at 77% humidity. It has the egg turner timer for every 2 hours. The days are off because there was a few times I had to actually press the button to get it to stop beeping in the middle of the night, because when the humidity drops below like 60 on this thing, there's no way to set it. It will beep, and it's super annoying. The temperature is actually accurate. I'll give it that. The temperature is accurate. I do have another little temperature deal in here. It's hard to see, like 99.3. As you can see right there, we have a little duckling, my last Pekin duck to hatch. And this one needed some help. It was not positioned the best. And so what I did is I chipped off the air cap. At first I just made a tiny hole, because after they internally pip, which is where they push their beak through the membrane into the air sac that forms at the top of the egg, they can only breathe that air for about 24 hours before they run out of air. And if you do not notice that they had internally pipped and had been like that for at least 24 hours, they can suffocate because they won't have enough air. So I had poked a tiny little external hole with this, just a little pin, and I had poked it on the top, and then I gave this little one about another day to see if, you know, she'd make any progress. She really didn't, so I decided to remove most of the air cap and see how she was doing. As of right now, I'm going to leave her in until she's ready to come out because I removed enough of the air cap for her to get out on her own when she's ready, once her egg yolk is absorbed. And as long as you keep them in there, they should come out when they're ready. You don't want to take them out too early because if you damage any vessel or if you damage the egg yolk, it can kill them. So you have to be careful. Even when you remove parts of the shell, revealing this membrane, you want to make sure that you are putting coconut oil on it. Or any sort of oil that will moisturize it, because you don't want them to shrink wrap. As I said before, if you open the incubator, when they pipped or when they have access to the membrane is open, it can shrink wrap. So in order to help prevent that, in which she had already broken through most of the membrane, so it was okay. But in order to prevent that, you do want to make sure you keep that humidity extra high when you're helping them, and you want to make sure you're keeping them outside of the incubator as little as possible. And before you put them in, you want to wrap, put some coconut oil around that membrane so that it has less of a chance of shrink wrapping. But this one I believe is still drinking from the yolk sap. If you notice that your duckling or chick is still yawning or opening its mouth or chewing, it's likely still absorbing the yolk sac and is not ready yet. But I just didn't want this little one to suffocate because it did internally pip and did not make any progress after. So I'm waiting for this one to be ready. And this is the OppsDecor incubator. It was about $100 something. It's okay. I mean, it has a power button right here. It has the set button. You can set the temperature. It's like a degree off maybe. The humidity is right there, and the days are there. And there's no way to adjust the days, but you can adjust the temperature and the humidity by holding set and going up or down for each one. I believe some of them will say like A high or A low, and you just adjust that for the alarm for each. So it's definitely interesting. This one has a fan. It came with a turner, which was super handy. But on day 25, you want to make sure you take that turner out so that they can get into position and get themselves ready to hatch. But overall, I mean, of the duck eggs that I had ordered about 5 hybrid duck eggs, and I had ordered 4 Pekin duck eggs. Of the 5 hybrids, only 1 hatched. One was developing with its organs outside of its body. The other one was underdeveloped and actually looked white. It was interesting. And then for the Pekins, it looks like this egg over here. I had opened this one as well, but there was no movement. That guy probably didn't make it. The 2 from earlier had stopped developing, and this one looks like it'll be the only one making it for these guys. Because I didn't want to have 2 little ducks, I had purchased one from Cal Ranch as well so that I'd have the proper number. So I'm just having 3 Pekins and it'll be great. But all right, on to the next step. All right, I'm back. So after 20 days with the silkies and after 28 days with the ducks, we got some babies. As I said before, I got 4 healthy silky chicks. I have a story to tell for the next video of how their first 2 weeks went, but we'll wait till next section to do that. And I have, well, hopefully 3, since you saw that little guy in the incubator, healthy ducks. This is Minnie. Yeah, she's not very happy right now, to be honest. She's very distressed. She's about a week old now. It's okay, little one. They've been practicing their first swims. So they've been happy. And this right here is Josephine. She's about 2 weeks old. She is one of the silky chicks that I told you about. She's very happy, very cute. When they hatch from the incubator, they look like a pile of wet mess, and they're cute anyway. But anyways, that has been my experience just incubating the chicks and kind of bringing them to the brooder. And I think in the next video, I will set up the actual brooder for you guys, because that might be better. And I'll show you how the first 2 weeks went. So stay tuned, and I will finish with some lovely, with some lovely videos about how they hatched. Here you are. Hi, baby.